Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video because it is going to be another ranking video, and today we are going to be ranking my face palettes. Now I've said this in all my ranking videos thus far, but I originally saw Kelsey Brianna J do a ranking. I think it was either her Natasha Denona or her Pat McGrath eyeshadow palettes, and since then I've seen Kelly Gooch rank pretty much her entire makeup collection by category. I know Samantha March is doing quite a few ranking style videos on her channel that I love to watch, and so any sort of like ranking style videos that I personally watch, I'll leave their channels / videos linked down below for you guys in case you like the style video and want to watch more. But like I said, today we're going to be ranking my entire face palette collection, so if you're interested then stay tuned. But first, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll consider doing so before you go. I post videos every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so I currently have 16 face palettes in my collection. I counted a face palette as anything with 4 or more like products in it. I do have quite a few like palettes, if you will, that have like 3 blushes or 3 highlights, but if I included those it would have been just too long of a video in my opinion, and I was also really struggling to rank when I included those. So I think maybe I'll include like the try palettes, like when I do like my blush dedicated ranking video and my highlighter dedicated ranking video. But like I said, 4 more products and it counted towards this face palette video. Now I'm like looking up and seeing like, do I have any that I missed? I do not believe I do. No, I don't think I do. 16 palettes, 16 face palettes. We're going to rank from worst all the way up to my most favorite face palette. So starting with the worst, I have this Naked Cosmetics 6-pan highlighter palette, and I got this in a BoxyCharm. This was in a chopping block episode of mine, and I did decide to keep it because I actually do think these are fun colors to use as eyeshadows, but as highlights they personally just don't work for me. They're too like color pigmented, and these are also super powdery, and when you like rub them out, it's just not the best formula. It truly isn't. And I obviously don't use these as highlights just because for me, I'm never going in with like a colorful highlight. Today I actually have on a highlight from the Aurora palette, and that's like the closest I get to color. But I like these from time to time as a shimmery colorful eyeshadow, so that's why I keep this around. But if we're ranking these and talking about like how much use I truly get out of each of the 16 palettes, this would definitely be the one that gets the least amount of use. Next up is a palette that is really similar to the one that I just showed you, and this is considered a face and eye palette, so I decided to talk about this in my face palette video just because I actually use this as a face palette. Actually, maybe I just use it on my eyes, but we're talking about it today. It is the Kat Von D Alchemist palette, or Alchemist holographic palette. It has 4 different shades in this. I can't remember what I paid for this. I feel like I paid like upwards of like $28 to maybe like $32. Definitely not worth it. These are cool shades, and this came out around the time that like holographic things were just like all the rage, so I just felt like I absolutely had to have it. But I've really only used these as like inner corner highlights when I'm doing like a purple eye, and I've occasionally used them as like, again, a colorful shimmery shade on the eye. They are really cool shades, just like the duochrome that they give. I don't know how well you'll be able to see, like this is the pink opal one, and it's really pretty. So like I don't want to declutter this palette, but I just don't reach for it that often, and for that reason it is ranking at number 15. Next up, ranking at number 14, is a palette that I truly did want to love, and this was really expensive, and the swatches like had me convinced I was gonna love this, but I just don't love the formula. This is the Beauty Bakery Milk and Honey palette. So this is their highlighting palette. I believe that this was $38, so just a couple dollars cheaper than an AVH Glow Kit. And like I said, when I saw the swatches of these, I was blown away, but for some reason these just don't work on my cheeks all that well. I really thought I was gonna love this Spoiler Alert shade, but it's just almost like it's like a silver white shade. It's the one right on top here. It's just almost like too silver. This is probably my favorite one in the entire palette, this one right here. This is the pinky highlight, and it is called Oh Honey. And then I just find the Be Sweet and the Queen Bean shades to be too dark for me. they're like, they swatch beautifully, but they're a little bit powdery and they just don't look the best on my skin. I want to say they almost look like thick, which is like a really weird way to describe a highlight, but it definitely looks like it's sitting on top of your skin rather than like blending into your skin beautifully. I really do like how these swatch. They swatch so beautifully, and like I said, when I saw the swatches of this on Trendmood, I was like, I have to have that. The swatches are so beautiful. But I feel like this is one of those examples of like swatches that like are kind of deceiving, because I definitely did not love this as much on the actual face. Next up is another palette I thought was going to get a ton of use when I bought it, and it just doesn't get the love it truly deserves. This is the Tarte Blush Bazaar from a couple holidays ago, and in it, I feel like my daughter may have gotten in this. In it you get, I think this might be a highlight. You get 8 different blushes and 2 different highlights. The highlights are super subtle, and the blushes are beautiful, but for some reason I just do not reach into face palettes that much. I've been trying to make a conscious effort every time I do a Shop My Stash to pull in at least one face palette and get some good use out of it. That just reminds me, I accidentally forgot one palette to include in this, so I actually have 17 to rank, so this one would actually be number 15, and good thing the one I'm going to talk about would be ranking above this. I do really like the Amazonian Clay Blush formula, that's why I haven't decluttered this at this point, but I just do not find myself reaching for this unless I like give myself some sort of motivation to, so that is why it is ranking so low. Okay, so then this one is going to be ranking number 14, and this one and the next one I'm going to talk about are like really close, but just thinking about practicality, actually this one only has 3 shades in it, so I shouldn't even be talking about this. Well, good, this is a good trade out for the other one. But I was going to mention the Wander Beauty Wanderous Dusk Till Dawn palette. You get basically 2 highlights and a blush, but one of these is kind of like a highlight blush topper. It's pretty, I just don't feel like I absolutely need it in my collection. Like if I lost this, I wouldn't necessarily be sad about it, but I do like to reach into it from time to time. But I guess this isn't counting. Okay, so ranking at, I think this would be number 12. I'm like so off on my numbers now that I've been like back and forth on what's included in here. This is the Tarte Clay Play 1 palette. And mine does not look very used at all, and that's because it has not gotten much love. I purchased this when so many people were talking about the Clay Play 1, and then it went on sale for like half off, so I was like, you know what, why not? I think I paid less than $25 for this, and while it is a super practical palette, you can't get your hands on this one anymore, I do not believe. It's a super practical palette if you like just neutral, matte, brown eyeshadow looks. So like I could see how someone could get a lot of use out of this, and then you have like your contour and shades that you can use as a bronzer. But I like to reach into my palettes. I have contour powders I like, and I just never ever reach into this, so that's why this one is ranking where it is. It's still such a practical palette that I can't get myself to declutter it yet, but I am doing like a makeup inventory. Like I filmed a makeup inventory at the beginning of this year. I'm going to do a mid-year check-in, and then I do have some goals set for myself for where I want to be for those makeup inventory numbers, or like around where I want to be. So we'll see where we're at by the end of the year, and we may have to be doing some decluttering, and I could definitely see this as maybe one of the items that does get decluttered. Okay, now everything that I talk about is genuinely like products that I really do like. So coming in at number 11, I have my ABH Moonchild palette, or Moonchild Glow Kit, and the reason this is ranking so low is just because I don't get a ton of use out of this, because again, these are duochrome, colorful, holographic shades, but it's a beautiful palette, and I do actually really enjoy the formula of this. There's a couple of these that I can get away with, like Pink Heart right here. It is like a purpley pinky sort of shift, but sometimes I can get away with this. This is another one too, from time to time I'll pull out and use like all over my lid as like a colorful lid shade. I'm like getting annoyed with the lighting that it like keeps changing when I hold this up. I'm trying to hold things up on this side, but I genuinely do really love this palette. I basically collect ABH glow kits. I did buy the Dream one, and that was too glittery for me, so I ended up selling that on my Poshmark, but a part of me kind of wishes that I didn't. Maybe I'll buy it again someday, just to round out my collection. So this isn't something that I really could ever see myself decluttering, but it's also not one that just gets much use. Coming in at number 10 is another ABH Glow Kit. This is the Sweets Glow Kit. And this is what this looks like. I really do like this palette, but for me, I've been reaching into my single highlights quite a bit. When I first purchased this butterscotch shade got quite a bit of love from me, which is actually kind of scary to think about because I feel like this is like way too dark for me normally. I don't know if you'll be able to see it swatched right there. I feel like this is only a shade that I could really get away with in the summertime, so it's scary to think what I looked like back then. Like when I was first learning makeup and like my first year on YouTube when I wasn't that consistent with posting, it is truly terrifying to think about what makeup I thought looked good and wore out of the house. And even like now, I'll probably look back in 2 years and be like, oh my god. But I do really enjoy this one. I just use other glow kits over this one, so this is why this one is ranking at number 10. Okay, coming in at number 9, I have the Kokie Powder Contour Palette, and this is essentially a dupe for the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, which I used to really love, but I haven't owned in quite some time. I don't reach into this palette too often anymore just because I'm not contouring that much, and I do have other products that I prefer to contour with. However, for $15, I do think that this is a really good value for what you're getting. These powders are definitely more firmly pressed than the Kat Von D formula was, so you have to work a little bit harder to get what you want, but they're still pigmented and I think that they are beautiful. So if you're looking for a nice contouring palette, I would definitely recommend checking this out. Again, $15. I believe I picked mine up at Walmart, not on the Kokie website, so you can find these in store. This is, again, not something I would declutter. I just don't reach into it that often, so that is why this one ranks at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is another ABH Glow Kit. This is the Aurora Glow Kit, and I actually do have this on my cheeks today. I have the shade Eclipse on my cheeks, which is this beautiful, like, peachy pink shade. This is another colorful duochrome holographic sort of shifty palette, and while this palette does not look like it's that wearable, you actually can pretty easily get away with quite a few of these. Luna's another one that I've used quite a bit, and it's just a little bit more orangey than, I don't think you'll be able to see these ones that well. It's just a little bit more orangey than Eclipse. And then even this Luna shade I have worn when I'm really fair as just like a whitey silvery sort of highlight. This one can get a little bit dicey. I mean, it's not the most natural looking highlight ever. None of these are the most natural looking highlights ever, but I think it's still really fun. And even like Orion and Luna aren't like the most pigmented, as like they look super colorful in the pan, but then they're not like a freaking stripe of color on your cheeks. So I really do enjoy this palette, and this is one that I thought that I would just pick up kind of as a collector's item and not get much use out of. But when I first bought this, I was using Eclipse and Lyra so often. I recently pulled this into my May Shop My Stash. I'm not sure. I think that Shop My Stash video will be up before this. It definitely will. I forgot how much that I really do enjoy it and how usable some of these shades are. So I'm really glad that I decided to pull that in and get some use out of it. And it just reminded me that this isn't just an item that needs to collect dust. Like, this is an item that I can get use out of, and I do really enjoy. Another ABH Glow Kit, you guys. I'm sorry, I have a lot of ABH Glow Kits. This is the Nicole Guerrero Glow Kit, and what's funny about this Glow Kit specifically is I've considered decluttering this so many times, and then I go to like swatch a shade or just like use it one more time to like make my final decision, and I'm like, wait, why would I ever consider decluttering this? I really enjoy, honestly, these 5 I can get away with pretty much at any time. I mean, 143 in Glow Getter, I need a little bit of a tan to get away with, but I have also used these as like eyeshadows too, just for like shits and gigs, and I really do love this palette. I love Forever Lit. It's just like a really beautiful, again, like kind of silvery white shade, and then Forever Young is one of my favorites. On the actual like skin, it comes across a lot more like pink champagne rather than like in the pan. It looks a little like purple toned. It doesn't come across purple toned on the skin at all. And then Kitty Cat 2 is just a really beautiful like peachy pink shade, and it doesn't look like, it looks like it would be really pink in the pan, but then you get it on the actual skin, and it's more of like a peachy pink shift. So I think that this is a beautiful palette. I still reach into this a lot, and this is definitely not getting decluttered. I'm definitely glad that I've never actually ended up decluttering this and that I still have this in my collection, because I truly do love this. I love Nicole Guerrero. She is honestly the first YouTuber that I started watching that like truly made me watch more YouTube videos and really get into YouTube. So this is kind of like a sentimental sort of item for me as well, but another one that I do actually truly love. Next up is the face palette that I forgot about that was in the other room. This is the Benefit Cheekathon palette. This one and the Nicole Guerrero, like I use this more than the Nicole one, which is why I'm ranking this higher, but like the sentimental value part of me like wants to rank the Nicole palette higher. But anyway, this is what this one looks like. I'm missing my Coralista shade because I did try to depot this and it did not go so hot. But this was getting no use out of my collection, and then I pulled it into, I think it was my April Shop My Stash, and fell back in love with this palette. I love this Rockateur blush shade. This is one that I'll use more like in the fall and winter time. Dandelion is actually a beautiful, beautiful blush shade, and I have fallen in love with this. I don't know if I had ever tried Dandelion before until I pulled this back out, but I love it. It just gives like a beautiful, subtle pink tint to the cheek. Dallas is a really pretty like bronzy blush. It kind of looks just like a deep bronzer in the pan, but I like to use it as, oh boy, oh, nothing broke. Okay, I forgot that this like had fallen out kind of. I like to use Dallas as like a bronzy sort of blush, and then we have Hoola here, which I personally usually use as a contour shade, and I really like it as a contour shade. Occasionally I'll use it as just a bronzer, but as a contour it works really, really well for me. So I actually really do love this palette. I wish I still had Coralista just to kind of round this out, but still glad that I've kept this strong because I've definitely considered decluttering this before, but I do really like it. Okay, we're in the top 5 now, and coming in at number 5 is yet another ABH Glow Kit. I'm sorry. This is the Sugar Glow Kit, and this is the one that has a Starburst in it. And you guys, I love pinky champagne highlights, which is exactly what this is, and it works just so well on my fair skin. This also has Butterscotch, which I believe was in the Sweets Glow Kit, which is just a beautiful lighter like golden champagne shade. I don't know why I'm deciding to swatch things where I am. Then you have Marshmallow, which is like kind of a yellowy, like almost has like a hint of green to it highlight. I don't love Marshmallow. And then Gumdrop, I also really do like. This is a pretty pinky highlight, so I don't wear this all the time, but I do like to wear this in the summertime kind of, or at times, kind of as like a sunburny type of effect. I'm weird and like to look like I got a burn sometimes, so sometimes I'll go in with Gumdrop in the summertime, but overall, I mean, I just love the ABH Glow Kits, and this one is ranking at number 5. Coming in at number 4, I have my Becca Après Ski Glow Palette, Face Glow, Après Ski Glow Face Palette. This was a holiday limited edition in 2017, and I should reach for this more often than I do, honestly, but I do really love this palette. You have one of the Becca bronzers. This is in Bronzed Bondi. A little bit dark for me unless it's like the heart of the summertime, so I can really only reach for this in the summer. I actually have played around with this beautiful Icicle highlighter shade more in the winter time, but it's like this beautiful silvery blue shade, which I mean I can't get away with at like work, but I played around with this and had like created some fun looks with that. You also have Opal, which is like the staple highlight for Becca. I do like Opal. I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit dark for me and I don't wear it too often, but this is a new favorite of mine. This is in the shade Rose Quartz. Just a beautiful, beautiful highlight. I don't know if you'll be able to see its launch, but I have the little mini from like the Macaroon holiday set, and I love the Rose Quartz highlight. It has quickly become one of my favorite highlights. You also have a copper highlight, which I never use. This is in the shade Blushed Copper, and then you also have this beautiful Winterberry blush, which I don't reach for too often. I have a few times. It's just like a little bit, Becca blushes can get a little bit pigmented at times, so I just really have to be careful, but I do want to pull this one out during an upcoming Shop My an upcoming Shop My Stash, because I actually feel like even though this was a winter holiday release, I feel like I can get more use out of it in the summertime just because the bronzer matches me better. This would be like a cute like sunburn pop on the cheek, and then again, this is like one of my favorite highlights, so need to definitely pull this out during an upcoming Shop My Stash. But this is what ranks number 4 for me. Coming in at number 3 is a blush palette from Lorac that I picked up during this past holiday, and I feel like this was a steal, you guys. 4 blush shades and 2 highlights for, it was $29, and it's not like, I thought this was gonna be really mini, but it's not like a super mini palette by any means. You get the shade Aurora, which I absolutely love. I really like Blossom too. This one is just like a really neutral light pop on the cheeks, and then you also get Tea Rose, which I also think is beautiful. I wore this more in the winter time, and I definitely want to try out Technicolor during the summertime. This one, it just intimidates me a little bit. It's not coming across quite as pink on camera, but this is a pretty vibrant shade. And then you also get the shade Opalescent and Bold Spirit for highlight shades. Not my favorite highlight formula, but you know what, it works. Actually, Bold Spirit I want to give a try to. It looks like it might be a little bit dark, but that could be really pretty. And then Opalescent is just like a yellowy bronze sort of shade. Yellowy champagne sort of shade. Ugh, can't speak. Anyway, I do really enjoy this palette. I'm so glad that I picked it up. Such a good deal. I really do enjoy the Lorac blush formula, so I think this was a great value. Again, you can't get this anymore, but glad I did. Okay, this is the last glow kit I have to talk about. This is the ABH Sun Dip Glow Kit, and man oh man, do I love this glow kit. It is beautiful. I love to wear this all summer long. This just gives me summer vibes. I think it is such a gorgeous palette. This bronze shade I usually use on like no makeup days and just pop this in the crease. And then I also really enjoy Tourmaline on my eyes as well. And I like Tourmaline on the cheek, Moonstone and Summer on the cheek. It's pretty much just bronzed that I can't get away with on my cheeks obviously, but I use it as an eyeshadow. As you can tell, there's like a dip in there. I mean, I think my daughter did dig her fingers in here, but I also get a ton of use out of this in the summertime as an eyeshadow shade. So this is one that I believe is not limited edition. You can always pick this up. Would highly recommend for the summer. Such a beautiful highlight palette, such a beautiful face palette, and definitely not ashamed to say that this is ranking number 2 in my face palette collection. All right, we're finally there. My camera cut me off because I've been talking for too long, and whew, this has been a long video. But coming in at number 1 is the newest face palette to my collection, but I hate to use this word, but I'm gonna say it. I am obsessed with this palette. This is the Smashbox Cali Contour Kit. I picked this up during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty, and thank God I did. Seriously. I was gonna let this one slip by, but I heard so many people talking about this in their recommendations video, and I think I got this for 19 bucks, which is a literal steal. The contour shade in here is by far like the most beautiful contour shade I personally feel like I've ever used. And that includes my Kevyn Aucoin sculpting powder. I am obsessed with this contour shade. It is so beautiful. It works so well for my skin tone. This bronzer actually works really well too. I brought this with me on vacation and used this bronzer more than I expected to. The under eye setting shade I like. It's a little bit dry for me, but it does a really nice job of brightening underneath the eyes, so I do like this and I will use it. The blush shade is beautiful. Such a beautiful neutral blush shade, but I feel like they did a nice job of picking a color that was going to suit quite a few skin tones. So right away, like those 4 shades, I can use all 4 of them. The highlights are not my absolute favorite, but I could still use them. Like if I just brought this with me traveling as like my blush bronzer, my blush, bronzer and highlight, I wouldn't be mad about it. The only thing is I feel like the highlights are just a little bit dark for me if I'm at my fairest. I'm like swatching over a million highlight swatches right now. So that's the only complaint I have about the highlights. I could seriously see myself hitting pan in all 4 of the other shades in this palette. I just absolutely love this. If I lost this, I would pay full price to get another one. If this were to go on sale again for some reason for like 19 bucks, I would pick up so many of them and just give these as gifts to like everyone I know, because I love this palette. I think it is so good. Like, it might be my favorite palette in my collection, like including my eyeshadow palettes. I just love this. It's incredible. So if you can get your hands on this, or if you've been thinking about it, I would highly recommend. I think it is a phenomenal palette and I absolutely love it, and that's why it's ranking at number 1. But after that, that is going to conclude this ranking video, ranking my entire face palette collection. If you stuck around till the end, thank you so much. Sorry if this felt a little bit rambly. I hope you guys enjoyed though, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, don't forget to do so before you go. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.